Throughout the 80s, movies pushed boundaries like never before, shocking violence, disturbing imagery, and taboo topics that rattled audiences to their core. Some of these films went so far that censors and governments flat out banned them. Today, we're looking back at 10 extreme 80s movies so controversial, they were banned in the United States. At number 10, The Last House on the Left, 1982. This one might have come out in the 70s, but its impact was still felt well into the 80s. The movie follows two teenage girls who head into the city for a night of fun, only to be kidnapped by a group of sadistic criminals. What unfolds is relentless humiliation, psychological torment, and brutal violence that refuses to cut away. At the time, audiences had never seen anything so raw and cruel. The sheer focus on suffering was considered unbearable. It was banned in multiple countries and censored heavily in others. Even decades later, it's remembered as one of the most disturbing films ever made. Number 9. The Last Temptation of Christ, 1988. Instead of focusing on blood and gore, this movie sparked outrage for a different reason: religion. It reimagines the story of Jesus, showing him questioning his path, giving in to temptation, and even imagining a life where he gets married and has children. For many, this was unforgivable. Religious groups protested outside theaters, cities across the US pushed for bans, and screenings were attacked. The backlash was so intense that the film became nearly impossible to see for years. At number 8, Hail Mary, 1985. This film retells the story of the Virgin Mary in a modern setting. It features a young woman who finds herself miraculously pregnant, with the narrative exploring faith, spirituality, and sexuality in ways that unsettled religious audiences. The response was explosive. Protests broke out, screenings were shut down, and the film was outright banned in several countries. Even the Pope publicly condemned it. Far from fading away, the controversy gave it a permanent place in film history. Number 7. The Evil Dead, 1981. This horror classic follows a group of friends who head to a remote cabin in the woods, only to unleash a demonic force that possesses them one by one. What starts as a fun weekend spirals into a nightmare of gore, dismemberment, and supernatural terror. Censors were horrified. The film was labeled obscene in multiple countries, and one infamous scene involving a possessed tree pushed it over the edge. In some places, it was completely illegal to sell or screen it. Today, it's a cult favorite, but back then, it was treated like contraband. At number 6, Silent Night, Deadly Night, 1984. This slasher flips Christmas on its head, telling the story of a man who grows up traumatized and eventually dons a Santa suit to go on a bloody killing spree. Parents were furious not just at the movie, but at the TV commercials that aired during family programming. Kids across America were suddenly terrified of Santa, and the outrage grew so loud that theaters pulled the film entirely. While it eventually found an audience, it remains one of the most controversial holiday movies ever made. Number 5. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, 1986. This movie follows a drifter who embarks on a series of random, cold-blooded murders. What makes it so unsettling is how matter-of-fact it is. There's no flashy style, no over-the-top effects, just a chillingly realistic look at a serial killer's life. It was slapped with an X rating, a label usually reserved for pornography, making it nearly impossible to distribute. For years, the film struggled to get released, and even when it did, it was often heavily censored. The unflinching realism was simply too much for audiences at the time. At number 4. Necromantic, 1987. This one is infamous. The story follows a man who works in crime scene cleanup and develops an obsession with corpses, eventually starting a disturbing relationship that pushes boundaries few films have ever dared approach. The imagery is graphic, shocking, and deliberately transgressive. While some praised it as bold social commentary, most couldn't stomach it. Many countries refused to screen it, and even years later, Germany banned both the original and its sequel. Number 3. If You Love This Planet, 1982. Not every banned movie from the 80s was a horror film. This short documentary warns about the dangers of nuclear weapons and climate change. It might sound harmless today, but at the height of the Cold War, it hit a nerve. The US government labeled it foreign political propaganda and tried to suppress it. Ironically, the controversy only drew more attention, and the film ended up winning an Academy Award. Number 2. Cruising, 1980. This thriller dives into New York's underground gay nightlife as a detective goes undercover to catch a killer targeting men in the community. From the start, the movie sparked outrage. Activists protested filming, fearing it would fuel homophobia and violence against LGBTQ+ people. Even after release, the protests continued, with boycotts and public demonstrations. While some critics praised it, many communities wanted it banned. Today, it's seen as a landmark piece of queer cinema, but in 1980, it was one of the most divisive movies in America.
To remind us all to subscribe to the channel.
At number 1. Cannibal Ferox, 1981. This notorious exploitation film follows a group of travelers in the Amazon who stumble into brutal encounters with cannibals. It doesn't shy away from shocking violence, mutilations, torture, and even real animal killings caught on camera. The result? Outrage. It was banned in the UK and placed on the infamous Video Nasties list, while other countries refused to screen it altogether. Its reputation as the most violent film ever made cemented it as one of the most extreme banned movies of the 1980s. And there you have it, 10 extreme 80s movies so shocking they were banned in the US. Some pushed religious boundaries, others were too violent, and a few were just too politically dangerous. Love them or hate them, each one left its mark on film history.